Hey, what's up YouTube? King James here. The MAC-10 has been with us for what, like about 3 or 4 seasons now? And it was the meta SMG for quite a long time. It's still really good, but we've also had the LC-10, the PPSH, and now the OTS-9 has shown up, which I'm going to have a video on pretty soon. But I want to go back and revisit the MAC-10. It's sort of the OG of really good SMGs. I know the MP5's always sort of been there, but the MAC-10 took it to a whole new level with crazy high fire rate, really high mobility, and just a really fun gun to use. So I thought I would revisit it. But I hadn't had it up in quite a while, and Chris369 says, can you do another review on the MAC-10 please, Mr. King James? And then I put up a couple other videos, and then I got another thing said, still waiting on the MAC-10. So here it is, Chris369. I've got it for you right now, buddy. So if you checked out the patch notes for the recent update, you can see all of the guns sort of took some balancing or some nerfs because they're trying to increase the time to kill across the board. But when looking at them, Submachine Gun Alpha, so that's the Modern Warfare MP5, it had a little bit of a nerf. The Bullfrog, it took a whole bunch of nerfs, but got a little bit of a buff on some of the other damage in the different areas. And then there's the KSP took a nerf, the LC-10 took a pretty heavy nerf, and then there's the MAC-10, which only got the slightest nerf, just 1 damage maximum and 1 damage on the minimum. And then Milano, which has been crazy overpowered, it took a pretty hefty nerf. The range and the multipliers all across the board. The MP5 took a pretty good nerf, and even the nail gun, they've slowed it down. So the MAC-10 was always really strong, but when you're looking at what the balancing changes did to all the SMGs, a lot of them got nerfed. The MAC-10, it's only been very slightly nerfed. That's because it was pretty well balanced before, and I think it's actually positioned really well now after the recent changes. So let me show you a little bit of video of me using the MAC-10, and to be honest, I've always loved this gun. So let's check that out. So the one thing I wanted to test on it still was the recoil, just to make sure that the recoil on the gun was about the same as what it's always been. And it's always had a pretty good vertical, some back and forth, and a little bit of horizontal, which it still has. But when you go and shoot it all in the center there, you definitely have enough bullets there, and you can keep them in a pretty tight cluster. And I was just doing this testing here, and a guy dropped in, so I just started shooting at him here, and I ended up running out of ammo. But I pull out my fire after hitting him a few times, and this is a really good loadout for me, because whenever I'm in trouble, I can always pull this one out and do pretty well on it. So just like that. But anyway, have a look at the pattern here. This certainly is what I've always been looking for when I'm using this gun, and it seems to work really well. So the MAC-10 has always been a really solid gun. It's got high mobility, a really fast fire rate, and it does pretty good damage. And that's the one thing that I've always liked about it. And it looks really cool too with the gallantry blueprint. So I've always liked, carrying it. But one thing about the gun is the incredibly higher fire rate. 1,118 RPM. It's the highest RPM of any SMG. And the higher the RPM is, the easier it is to use, or the more forgiving it is if you miss a couple of shots. So when you turn around and you have a guy coming at you, you can see I missed a couple there in the beginning, but because the fire rate is so high, I still get the down because the gun is incredibly forgiving. So, I've talked a couple of times before, if you're playing and you're having a rough night, I'll go to the, XM4 or the FAR 83, and the MAC-10 is also one of the guns that I go to, that and the LC-10, but especially the MAC-10 because the fire rate is so high. So if you're having trouble playing or you're having a rough night where you just feel like you're getting killed all the time, get the guns that have the most forgiveness to them, that make it easier to play. And there's definitely the FAR 83 and the MAC-10, right? They're both really high shooting guns, smooth recoil, and really easy to use and very forgiving. And that's one thing that I really like about this gun. And it's good, even if you're a skilled player, it's still really good. So like I said, I've been carrying my MAC-10 with the FAR 83, and I'll tell you, this is a really great loadout for me. I'm going to do a Rebirth best loadouts here pretty soon. Hazma the Gamer said, hey, why don't you do this as a video idea? And it's a really good one, so I'm actually going to do that, bud. But for right now, I'm just going to talk about the MAC-10. But this loadout right here, if I'm having a rough night, man, this is my go-to. If I just feel like I'm hitting all the sweats and I'm just getting smoked wherever I go, and it happens to all of us. And when that happens, this is the loadout that I go to. The FAR 83, which I did a video on, and I'll link it so you can check it right here, and also the MAC-10. But let me show you my MAC-10 build. But just before I get into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who's recently subscribed to the channel and is here watching my videos. I really appreciate all that love and support, so thank you guys. And if you haven't subbed to the channel, consider subscribing because it really does help small content creators like myself. All right, let me show you my build. So I'm starting off with the Gallantry blueprint. You don't really need to start with the blueprint. It doesn't really change anything, but I like how the Gallantry looks, and I have the Dark Matter camo on it. So for the muzzle, I'm always using the sound suppressor. On any close range gun, I find it to be a really good suppressor. So sound suppression, ADS speed, bullet velocity, and sprint to fire speed. So really great on a close range, high mobility gun. And that's what we're building this gun for, is high mobility, because it has almost no recoil, and it really is easy to use. So really all you want is really fast ADS and really high mobility. So for a barrel, I'm using the Task Force because you get effective damage range and bullet velocity, which sort of helps, but you don't really need, but strafe speed. So this is really important for when you're moving around, when you're jumping, when you're going side to side and you're in a close range battle. This really helps out a lot for that. And for a laser, Tiger Team Spotlight. Now that they've got all these attachments finally fixed in Cold War, which happened quite a while ago. But anyway, these spotlights now, movement speed, a whole ton of it, aim walking movement speed. Now, it does have the flashlight makes it visible to enemies, which I've never found to be a problem, and aiming stability, but you're using this thing so close that it doesn't matter. And this is the one few time that I'm not really using an optic. I like the base optics on the Mac 10, and I really got used to using an iron sights. So instead of an optic, I'm running the Raider stock. Because again, I want really high mobility. So ADS, aim, walking movement speed, and sprint to fire. So it gets your mobility really high here. You can see we've almost got the bar maxed out. And now for the last attachment, I'm using the 43 round drum. I don't really need the 53, because the 10 extra bullets is great, but this thing has a really fast reload speed anyway, just over 2 seconds. However, with this one, you actually take a bit of a mobility negative. It doesn't say it here, but it does show it on the bar. So I'm not actually sure if it's a mobility negative, but it's definitely an ADS speed negative by about 40 milliseconds. So I just run the regular one. Now, it does impact the reload speed and gets it to about 2.2 seconds, but it's still really fast. But you get more ammo and you have no negative on mobility. So this is the one that I've been running. And if you're looking for a really great SMG that will work in pretty well all scenarios, high mobility, and is very forgiving, this is it, man. This is my go-to, and I absolutely love this thing. Now, if you really must have a optic, you can try taking off the Raider stock or the Tiger Team Spotlight and go grab your favorite optic like the Microflex LED. But to be honest, I've gotten so used to using this gun without any type of optic on it that I really find the iron sights on this is really clean and very easy to use. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you using an SMG or maybe using the LC10 or the PPSH or another one? Let me know what you're using, or if you have a different build for the Mac 10 that's really been working for you, hit me up in the comment section down below. And also, if you have a video idea, like Chris who suggested this video, or Hasma the Gamer who suggested a Rebirth best loadout video, which I'm going to do pretty soon, hit me up in the comment section. If I use your video idea, then I'll give you a shout out in the video for it when I do it. So if you got something that you want to see or something that's been working for you, let me know what it is and hit me up in the comment section down below. Also, I think I'm going to try and do 3 videos a week. I used to post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to try Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays now to see how that goes. Maybe try and do a little bit more content. I'll see if I can keep up with it, because I do have a full-time job as well, so it's a little hard to do this at nights and on the weekends to make the content for you guys. So anyway, I'm doing my best to try and keep the channel up to date and bring you guys all the best stuff in the format that I've been doing, which is why a lot of you guys are here. So I really appreciate that, guys. Anyways, as always, if you don't see me in Warzone, if you don't see me in multiplayer, it's only a matter of time, baby. King James out.
That Mac 10, man.